Hello my YouTube family, welcome again to another Narc Survivor live video. And this one speaking about how the narcissist will never get over you. Before I begin, please show your support to our community by giving this video a thumbs up down below. It helps the YouTube algorithm to get this message out there to other people who may need to see it. Hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I upload a new video or go live in the future. And remember, if you would like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Now there's something you've got to understand. When you're dealing with these people who act so ungrateful, so unappreciative, and so anyone else could do so much more for them, so what you did wasn't that great. Don't worry about that. You haven't got to prove anything to them. You haven't got to make them recognize your worth. They already do. And in fact, that will be their punishment. That will be the greatest revenge on them. And I can assure you of that. Because I can tell you this right now. And although, yes, there's a lot of videos on here talking about how victims can be trauma bonded to a narcissist, and it's difficult for you to get over them. Yes, that may be true. But it's actually very easy for you to separate yourself from that by realizing it was a false character. It was all an illusion. They're narcissists, they're manipulators. As soon as that clicks in your mind, they have no power over you and you can get over them very quickly. So that's all that you need to do. To get over the trauma bond with a narcissist, stop seeking their validation, recognize the cycle of abuse, the love bombing, devaluation, discard, hoovering, recognize the pattern of behavior over however long you've been around them, and then start loving yourself and validating yourself again. That's all that you need to do as a victim, as a survivor of narcissistic abuse. But as for these narcissists, it's not that simple. And they actually become more trauma bonded to you than you ever would have been to them. That's the truth, and that's actually what initiates them to try and trauma bond you. Because they're already trauma bonded to you, they're already thinking about you, they're overanalyzing everything, they're ruminating. It's just playing around in their minds on and on. And that's what makes them want to get you to attach to them, because they're already attached to you. If they weren't, then they wouldn't even care about it. But they are. But they can't attach to you properly. And that's also why they can't detach as well. So understand this. They will be trauma bonded to you. And they will never get over you. Because honestly, the treatment you gave, the service, the privileges, just everything you did for them. You treated them in such a good way. You made all of their dreams come true. You were like this fantasy in real life. You gave them everything you had. You were at their beck and call. When they said jump, you said how high. You were always there whenever they needed you, for however long they needed you there, to do whatever they wanted you to do. That was you. You were always that person to the narcissist. You were their doormat, their fool. And at times, even their emotional punching bag as well. To make them feel desirable and attractive. You made them feel powerful and important. And at some point, we have to recognize the effect that that has on them. that feeling you give to them. You're making them feel alive. You're making them feel like their false character is real, like it exists. Which means that you are an extremely powerful source of supply to this narcissist. They're hooked on you, they're dependent on you. That's how they can't get over you. They're hoovering you, they keep coming back. They're stalking and harassing you. And they may even start smear campaigns against you, gang stalk you, do whatever they have to do. They may do all of these things to you because they can't find a source of supply as good as you anywhere else. They can't find anyone else like the empath, the chosen one, who's going to treat them as good as you did. They can't find anyone else like that. And that's how they're hooked on you. But as you begin to heal and you become stronger, you learn to validate yourself instead of seeking validation from them, instead of expecting them to do anything for you. The more that you just stay to yourself and you heal, you validate yourself, you watch my videos, you're no longer going to be trauma bonded to them, but they will still be trauma bonded to you. And they're going to be trauma bonded even more. It's going to intensify it on their end. Because now you're no longer that doormat, you're no longer that fool, that emotional punching bag. You're no longer any of those things that you used to be to them. Of course they're going to miss that. Of course it's going to leave a void in their lives. As I've said in my recent live videos, the power is in the person who gives the most. The person who does the most. That's the one who has the most power when all is said and done, because they're the ones who are going to be longing and yearning for you. Well, what are you going to be longing and yearning for? More manipulation? More abuse? Of course you don't want none of that. You want that out of your life. Because now you've woken up, you recognize that it was manipulation, it was a false character, it was all fake. They never actually did anything for you. All they did was keep you holding on. And you don't want to hold on anymore. Now you want to be about something for real. I mean, you were about something for real before. But they manipulated you, they tricked you. So it led into something else, it led into something fake. Well, you were unaware of that. But yeah, you gave them the best treatment. You really took care of them. You made them feel good about themselves. You made them feel powerful and important, desirable and attractive. You made them feel great. And of course they're going to miss that. Of course they're going to sense that's leaving a void in their lives. And not only when they were idealizing and love bombing you, and you were their doormat, you were doing things for them, making them feel good. Not only that, but also when they were bullying and intimidating you, you made them feel powerful. You made them feel like they're better than you, despite how great you are, how successful, how attractive. They're not going to be able to get around anyone else like that ever again and have that possession over that type of person. It was a miracle they even had that with you. To where they could manipulate you, they could keep you under a spell, and you were doing everything you could to please them, to make them happy. You were everything they ever wanted. Everything they ever needed in their lives. A powerful, successful, and attractive person who was delusional, who was under their spell, who was always listening to them, believing in everything they said. You made them your master. You submitted to them. And they got very used to that. Even though, yes, at some point they took it for granted. They didn't appreciate it while you were around. But at the same time they needed it, they were heavily dependent on it. And that is how they will feel it when it's gone. And this is why when you wake up, what happens when you confront them? Or when they sense that you're slipping away, you start to realize what's going on and you stop giving them your energy, your attention. Then they get angry. It causes a narcissistic injury. And then they rage at you. Because they're mad, they can feel their supply slipping away. And they're trauma bonded to that supply. They want to keep it down, they want to make it stay. And if they can't make you stay, well, they're so envious and jealous that they will try to destroy you. They will target you financially. They will try to get you fired from your job. They will start smear campaigns against you, gang stalk you, become very possessive and controlling, and do anything to prevent you from moving on because they do not want anyone else to have that supply. They want to be the only ones who can have it, that feeling of how you made them feel, making them feel attractive, desirable, powerful, and important. They can only get that from you because most people who are powerful, successful, and attractive, they're not going to be that way with them. They're going to have boundaries, they're going to have support networks, they're not going to be under a spell. They're not going to be so submissive like that, how you were with them. So they know they can only get that from you. They may be arrogant at first, thinking they can find it somewhere else, but they never do. They never manage to get that. And that's why they keep coming back to you. They keep hoovering you because they can't get that feeling anywhere else. That feeling where they're like larger than life. It validates their false character. It makes them feel special. It makes them feel alive. They can't get that from anywhere else. They can only get it from you. And that's why, of course, their only option, their only choice is to keep coming back to you. And that's how you may notice it's like they can't even go a day without you. They're always stalking you, following you around. They're watching you on social media. They're watching everything you do. Because at some point, once you've woken up, they realize that they can't be around you. They have to watch you from afar. So then they're stalking you on social media. They're developing these delusional fantasies in their minds as though you're participating in that when you're actually not, and you don't want anything to do with it. Because that's the only way that they can get their validation now. By reading into everything you do and acting as though it's about them, as though you want to be a part of their fantasy to make them feel good, when in reality you don't. You don't want anything to do with them. That's how you woke up, that's how you left them. You see, many of these people are very delusional. They can't accept it. They can't accept that you don't want anything to do with them. They can't accept losing control over their grade A source of supply. They just don't like the idea of that. At the beginning, they really had you under a spell. They had this wonderful, amazing person that you are. They had you longing and yearning for them, begging them, pleading. You were on your knees. You were willing to do whatever they wanted. You were willing to be whoever they needed you to be. You were willing to do anything for them. And to get that from someone so powerful, successful, and attractive. It's a very potent source of supply for them that they can't find anywhere else. You, as an empath, a highly sensitive person, you give them your love, your life, your energy, your validation. You made them feel so good about themselves. You gave them the best treatment. You gave them all of the benefits and privileges of being in your life. But it doesn't last forever, because at some point you wake up. You begin to realize what you're actually dealing with. And then, of course, they begin to miss out on that, because they were heavily dependent on it. You've essentially starved them of supply by you waking up, by you realizing what is actually going on. Because now they can no longer have that effect on you, which means that you are no longer giving them the energy and the reactions that they crave, that they're looking for. Because that's all that it really is. They're constantly just trying to escape from reality. And wherever they're around you, they want you to validate this false character, this illusion. Sometimes they want to feel desirable and attractive. Other times they want to feel powerful and important. And they miss that when they lose it. When they lose that feeling that you were once given to them, that they can't find anywhere else, because you were doing it in a certain way for them. And other people may not be able to do it like that. They may not be able to give them that type of feeling. You left an imprint on them. You made an impact. That's really where your power is. It's in being so kind, so nice, so generous, so giving, to the point where they just can't replace you. And yet they become so familiar with it, so accustomed to it. It's like now they can't live without it. They don't know what to do now that you're gone. Now that you're not supplying them with what you were once given to them before. Now they don't know how to live. They don't know how to survive. Even though they may have been fine before. They may have been alright before they met you. They had never been involved with an empath, a chosen one. But now, since they've met you, they're hooked on you. They're obsessed. They've developed an obsession with you. They're attached. And they need you like this little hand puppet, where they can control you and get you to react in the way that they would like. To get you to validate them, to make them feel special, to make them feel good about themselves. That's what they need you to do. But once you've woken up, they can't get that from you anymore. Once you recognize that you don't need them, you never did. They needed you far more than you ever needed them, because you were the one who was providing them with everything. You gave them everything they needed. But now what do they do when it's gone? And it's not that we want them to lose, we want them to have nothing. Of course we're not like that. I mean, of course, if they got their act together and they learn to go within, heal themselves, validate themselves as we do, Are they moved on and created a life for themselves? Then great. I mean, that's what most of us want them to do, is to leave us alone and go off and build a successful life for themselves. But narcissists don't think that way with you. Once they become trauma bonded to you and they're heavily dependent on your source of supply, then they try to trauma bond you to them. So they might provide something to you initially, and then they'll take it away. And then at the same time, even if you try to move on and you try to build something for yourself, you try to leave them behind, then they will sabotage all of your efforts. They will try to get you fired from your job, target you financially, start smear campaigns against you, whatever they can do out of their envy and jealousy to prevent you from moving on. And to try to keep you dependent on them, even though they may have no intentions of doing anything for you, because what you saw at the beginning, that was a false character anyway. It was fake, it wasn't even real, that's not who they really are. But that's really how you know who's who as well. It's that even after everything we went through with them, I know many of you, I'm sure you do wish that they would heal and move on, that they would try to make amends for whatever they did to you, they would try to correct it, and they would move on with their lives, and then you would be happy for them. You would be happy if things got better for them. And this is how you know what you're dealing with. Because they're never going to feel that way towards you. They're never going to wish that things would get better for you. And if they do, if things do get better for you, they will only come back to destroy it. This is how you know that it's not you, that you're not the narcissist. Because you're fine with them moving on. You may wish that things get better for them, but they won't, because they're hooked on you. They need your supply, which they can't get anywhere else, and that's why they have to isolate you, to keep you dependent on them as your only source of influence. So then they can keep getting what they want from you. And this is why they will never get over you. Because the potency of that supply that you gave to them, they're not going to find that anywhere else. They're not going to find anyone else like that. Well, as for you, it's so easy for you to find someone who will treat you better than them. You'd have a hard time finding someone who would treat you worse. And yet they never realised this. They never came to this conclusion. And even now they may not be aware of it. But this is really how it is. The person who gives the most, they're the ones who have the most power. They're the ones who make the biggest impact. Because if someone's not serving you, they're not doing any good for you, and you're losing everything to them, all you've got to do is just leave them alone and spend more time by yourself. But it's not like that for them, because you were very good for them. But in many ways, you also disabled them. Because now they can't take care of themselves. They're dependent on your validation. They're dependent on everything you were doing for them. They can't live without it. But I know for many of you, to be back around them again, To be in a room with them again, it would be an absolute nightmare. That's the last thing you would ever want to do. To go back to the toxic fights, the arguments, it's a horrible experience. But that's the thing. For them, it's an incredible experience with you. It gives them such a thrill. When you do things for them, and even when they can bully you, intimidate you, they find pleasure in your pain. It makes them feel alive. It has such a powerful effect on them. If you're finding this video helpful so far, please hit the thumbs up button down below to show your support. I see we've got 245 live viewers and only 20 thumbs ups. It'll take you 2 seconds, just hit the thumbs up button. Thank you. But yeah, this is really how it is. When they begin trying to trauma bond you to them, it's because they want to make it even. They're already trauma bonded to you. They're already dependent on you for your validation and whatever else you may be giving to them. So then they want to make it that way with you. They want to make you dependent on them for something. And really, they start to get trauma bonded to you from the very beginning. Because they idealize you, they put you on a pedestal. They look at it like, this person is going to give me the feeling I need. They're going to make me feel alive. They're going to make me feel good. And they really put you ahead of themselves. As though you can make them feel better than they can do for themselves. As though you can love them better than they love themselves. That is pretty much the expectation they have of you. And that is very dangerous. Because of course it's only a matter of time until they realize that it's all a lie, it's an illusion. You can't be everything for them. And then they get disappointed, they get frustrated. This is why they turn against you. This is why they get so mad. Because you're not being the person they want you to be. You're not fulfilling their impossible expectations. You're not playing out the fantasy. You're not playing your role as they've assigned to you. And then it frustrates them. They get angry at you. Because in their minds, they've already envisioned this character for you. And they may have got you to align with that in the beginning. Because you're friendly, you're agreeable. You want to make them feel comfortable. I mean, we all do initially. But then as time goes by, it's really an impossible expectation to where they demand for you to become their caretaker, which is something you're just not able to do. But honestly, the trauma bonding will escalate the longer that you are around them. If you think they were demanding so much from you in the beginning, it just gets worse. The more they're trauma bonded to you, the more that they need just to feel normal, or what's normal to them. Just to feel some level of comfort. So initially, They may have been requiring a certain amount of your time, of your attention, your validation, of you doing certain things for them. And you have to listen to their problems. You have to give them money, a place to stay, wherever it may be. And that may have seemed bad initially, but as time goes by, they demand more and more from you, to where they then become abusive, maybe even physically violent. They could worsen you into things that you don't want to be a part of. And then they may even try to sensitize you to sights, sounds, smells, touch, whatever it may be. Because they really want your life source. They want you to give all of your energy to them 24 hours a day. They'll even keep you awake at night, arguing with you until 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock. And it gets to a point where it's like all of your energy, your bodily resources are going to this narcissist, to the point where you are extending yourself to them as an extension of them that they need you to be. And it gets to a point where you may even forget to blink. You may forget to breathe, because you're so heavily focused on them and what they need. And it really does get to that point sometimes where they need you that much, because you're dealing with an empty meat suit. It's like a body that can't sustain itself. It can't function on its own. It needs your energy, your life force to make everything function for them. And this is why you will find yourself having so many health problems when you're around them. You might start getting sick. You might have stomach problems, IBS, digestive issues. You could even develop a mental illness yourself, because when you're around them, you're unable to take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, and even physically as well. Your body is unable to keep up with the demands because all of your energy is going to the narcissist, because they're an empty meat suit. They need you as their life support, to keep their body alive, to keep it running, to keep it functioning. They can't do it on their own. So really, when they lose you as this source of supply, it's like life or death to them. They really feel like they're in a fight for their lives, and there's nothing they won't do to hold on to you, to stop you from getting away. I've said it before, a narcissist will change the entire world if they can, before they ever even think of changing something about themselves. If they could, they would go and smear your name to the entire world and turn everyone into a flying monkey. Turn them all against you and use them all to control you, to stop you from getting away. Because that's easier for them to do than to reflect on their own shame. That's really how weak they are. And that's really what this is. It's weakness. Trauma bonding is weakness. And I'm sorry for those of you who may be trauma bonded to the narcissist, but we have to call it for what it is. We have to practice acceptance here, because as soon as we identify that it is a weakness inside of us, if we are trauma bonded to them and we're seeking validation from them, then we can develop that internal strength, which will then protect us. So it's very important for us to do that as well. But yeah, when you're dealing with these narcissists, you'll feel like you're developing schizophrenic traits. It's like you can't even get your words out, you can't even speak anymore, because all of your power, all of your life force is going to them to sustain this empty meat suit with no life inside of it. It's an empty void. So it needs your power, your energy to keep it going. It's just like an empty vessel. That's really what it is, and that's how they drain the life out of you. You don't drain the life out of them because you're full. You have this life force, this energy that's sustaining you. It's keeping you going. And it's coming from within you. They don't have that though. And that's how they become trauma bonded to you. They become heavily dependent on you. While you become trauma bonded to them because they strip you of your power. They drain you of your energy and resources. And they leave you hanging on to their lies and future faking. Their false promises. Because if you look at it, you were perfectly fine without them. You never needed anything from them. And that's how you never got anything from them anyway. And you were still okay. The only problem was they were draining you. You were perfectly fine taking care of yourself until they came around you. And then they drained you and left you dependent on them for something that they couldn't even give to you anyway. And when you wake up and you realize that it breaks the trauma bond, and then you're able to move on because it's like they never had anything to reciprocate back to you anyway. You never got anything. What did you ever get that was more valuable than what you gave to them? Nothing. And that's why I say the power is in the person who gives the most. But they will never find anything like that ever again. A powerful, successful, and attractive person that you are. Where you were giving all of your energy and resources to them. You let them become a part of your life. You let them gain access to you. Gave them everything you had. You made them feel good about themselves. You were longing and yearning for them. You were on your knees, begging them at times to be good to you, to not hurt them. And they loved that. They were eating that up. To have someone as great as you wanting them so badly. But they took it for granted. They didn't appreciate you fully while they had you. But they will miss you when you're gone. And that's why they will stay holding on to you. Because they need you. You are this life that sustains their empty meat suit, their empty vessel. And this is why they can't be alone. It's why they hate being by themselves. Well, as for you, you may love your alone time. But they have to get around you to use you, to get supply from you, to get that validation. Because it's the only way that they can feel good. It's the only way that they can feel like this. Because their entire life is a lie. They've been gaslighting themselves their entire lives. They're not who they say they are. They're not who they think they are. It's all a lie. And that's how they have to get around people, to manipulate them, to get them to validate this illusion, to make them feel good about themselves, to make them feel like it's real. My throat is getting a bit tense. The energy is a bit off around you, I will admit. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that as well. You get like this tightness in your solar plexus and in your throat. Like you feel like the life is just being sucked out of you. But yeah, be very careful when you do wake up. If you're really a chosen one, an empath, a narcissist, grade A source of supply, they're not going to let you go that easily. When they see that you're waking up, when they sense that they're losing control of you, they're going to try to get you back. They're going to try to manipulate and love bomb you again. If you're not susceptible to that, they will try to punish you. They will try to isolate you, get you fired from your job, take all your money from you, to prevent you from being able to be independent and self-governing, autonomous. Because they're very envious and jealous. They will try to assassinate your character and turn everyone against you, to leave you isolated. Because they look at it like, if this source of supply has woken up and now it's trying to get away, and they can't change your mind, they can't get you to come back or to stay, then the only other thing they can do is to change the environment. Make it so that whatever you're trying to go off into is no longer going to be any good for you. It's no longer going to serve you. So then you're still trapped, you're still confined, you're still where they want you. And they can still be your only source of influence, and they can get everyone to do their bidding for them, to maintain control over you. So that's pretty much the mindset behind it, of why they do what they do, to trap and confine the chosen one, the empath. Because you've got to remember how important your supply was to them. They were really eating that up. They were really partaking in that, enjoying everything you were giving to them. The last thing they want is for you to be good for anyone else after they're gone, or for anyone else to be good for you. They want it to be so that you can't give this wonderful gift, your supply, to anyone else. Because they wanted all of that for themselves. And they are very envious, very jealous. Remember, they're always in comparison mode. They're always looking at what everyone else has got. And of course, they're going to be very jealous if they think that someone else has managed to manipulate you into giving that to them. So of course, they don't want that to happen. 244 live viewers, please hit the thumbs up button down below to show your support to my video, to my community. Thank you. I know it's really sad when you're dealing with these narcissists, but this is just how it is. This is what they're like. And you do have to be cautious. You do need to protect yourself, because you never know how they might react when you try to leave. You never know what they might do to you. They may have taken you for granted. They may have acted like you weren't anything. But when you finally wake up, when you finally leave, that's when they really feel it. They feel that loss of their supply. And it makes them go crazy, to where they may do things that may really shock you. things that you didn't expect them to do, in a desperate attempt to hold on to you, because they just can't live without your supply. They know they're not going to get that anywhere else, and they're not going to feel satisfied. They're not going to be able to let you go until they've completely destroyed you. That's what breaks the trauma bond for them, as if they've completely finished you off. They've hung you dry, and they know it's all over for you. You're never going to be in a sane state of mind ever again. You're never going to get back up. If they can leave you in that type of state, they'll be quite happy with that. And then that will break the trauma bond for them. But as long as you're still active, as long as you've still got some amount of energy, and you can still do the things that you need to do, they're still going to be watching you. They're still going to be holding on to you. They're still going to be after you. And this is why they will never get over you. They have to completely break you down and make you miserable. Make it so that you're struggling, and only then can they feel like they've won and they're making the right decision by leaving you alone, because now things aren't going to get any better for you. You're not going to heal. You're not going to recover. I mean, that's really what they really need to know. That's the confirmation that they're looking for when they do hoover you, when they do come back. They want to know that you're going to remain in that state for the rest of your life, that things are never going to get better for you. And if they can confirm that to themselves, then they're all right to leave you alone and to forget about you. But otherwise, they will continue watching you. And they will never get over you. Which will be the case for a lot of you, because I know you're strong and you're not going to give up so easily. So yeah, recognize that they are more trauma bonded to you than you are to them, if you are at all. Because I know myself, I'm actually quite immune to trauma bonding, or maybe it's just that no one's ever treated me in a way where it would make me dependent on them. So I guess I'm quite fortunate for that. Because the trauma bonds can be very painful. When you get used to something, you become accustomed to it. And then you're longing and yearning for it. Which of course is exactly what they want you to do. And in the end, that's what leaves them trauma bonded on you anyway. Is to where at one point you were attached to them, holding out for them, waiting for them, giving them everything, and then you suddenly push back. You stop doing that. That's what trauma bonds them to you. So what you got to do to break this bond and to leave them trauma bonded on you as their punishment? If you want to get revenge, you just need to become self-validating. Give yourself everything that you need. Which of course is another thing, that's where they come back to sabotage you as well. But that's really what you need to do. You've got to take good care of yourself. Just remember how you were taking care of them, start doing that for yourself. And that's really what makes them come back. That's what leaves them hooked on you, to where they never get over you. And I've talked about this in my video on how to make the narcissist obsessed with you. My most popular video on YouTube. I mean, that's pretty much how to trauma bond a narcissist. Pretty much. And funny enough, a lot of people are trauma bonded to me. All of these smear campaigns, the gang stalking, people can't get enough of me. And it's like, even when it looks like no one's around, you still know people are watching. People are looking for that validation. They just can't get enough of it. Well, for us, we like our peace, and they know that as well. That's why they're so disruptive. That's why they keep coming back as well. Because they love that feeling they get from disturbing your peace. That's what trauma bonds them to you as well. Anyway, I just like to thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. I appreciate you all. And I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, hit subscribe, click on all notifications to be notified when I go live in the future. If you'd like to donate, you can leave a super chat in the live chat, a super thanks in the comment section, or go to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, just go to my website. It's narcsurvivor.co.uk. You can also follow me on Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. I've got new pictures and videos of my travels, which I upload to my stories every day on there. And just remember, they never get over you. And in fact, everything you see from them, if they're not just secretly watching you from behind the scenes, everything you see, everything they do, it should all just reveal to you that they are trauma bonded to you, and that they can't let go. They need that validation, they need that supply. They can't ever be alone by themselves, and by not being alone by themselves, by needing that validation to validate the false character, they never get to experience real life. They never actually connect to the true reality because of that. I mean, maybe that's why they start smear campaigns, the gang stalk, because they're trying to do the same thing to you. But in fact, if you do the research and you look around, this is the reality for most people. That's why they call it the Matrix. But anyway, I will just finish with that. I would like to thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for your support. And as always, I will speak to you in another live video very soon.